Interview with the Vampire is back with Season 3 and will be exploring one of Lestat's more exciting chapters in his afterlife with his rockstar lifestyle. The AMC show serves as the third major adaptation of Anne Rice's Vampire Chronicles book series, with the first 2 seasons adapting the events of the first book in the series, in which vampire Louis de Pointe-du-Lac tells his life story to veteran journalist Daniel Mallory. The series chronicles Louis' transformation from an affluent black man in 1910's New Orleans to the titular supernatural creature after being romanced by Lestat de Lioncourt. Interview with the Vampire Season 3 is set to pick up sometime after the events of the Season 2 finale, in which Louis and Lestat reconciled after the latter learned that Armand was behind the sham trial that nearly resulted in his death. While its modern-day storyline is expected to see Louis faced with the consequences of the publishing of his interview with Daniel, Season 3 will also primarily adapt the events of 1985's The Vampire Lestat, in which the titular vampire found success as a rock star and formed the titular group, all while searching for meaning as a vampire. In honor of the show's presence at San Diego Comic-Con 2025, Screen Rant hosted Roland Jones, Jacob Anderson, Sam Reed, Eric Bogosian, and Daniel Hart in our suite to discuss Interview with the Vampire Season 3. The showrunner, composer and stars discussed the series' shift to exploring Lestat's rockstar days and how that will bring a new feel to the show, as well as composing the music for the season, Daniel's struggles as a vampire, and the return of a few major characters. The lives of rock stars and vampires aren't that far off from each other. And Rice always said that rock stars are inherently vampiric. With the Vampire Lestat now being the primary focus for the show's return, Interview with the Vampire Season 3 will feature a few major changes from prior seasons. One notable change is that Sam Reed's Lestat will now be the primary voiceover for episodes exploring his rockstar days, something that Jones and his writing staff nearly did away with. However, after finding they missed it desperately, they decided it was really strong in the delightful book and thus tried to find a way to bring it back. Reflecting on Lestat's musical transformation, and previous comments that rock stars are inherently vampiric, Reed began by revealing that this idea is actually from Anne Rice herself, with the star riffing on the theme that she said. That being said, the star also went on to denote how Lestat was instrumental in the creation of the Theatre des Vampires, as the character sought to create a safe space for vampires to chuck all their vampireness out there even as they were hiding in plain sight. And there's a very strong link between the way that Lestat approaches being a vampire rock star and how he was when he was part of the Theatre des Vampires, Reed explained. And, aside from what Anne Rice said, it's very true. How many pop songs and rock songs are about being a vampire, or have vampires in them? You could just look at Florence Welch or Chappell Roan or Olivia Rodrigo. Reed went on to explain another reason why the transition for Lestat into a rock star is because it's very common to associate otherness and carnal desire with being a vampire. It's totally logical that he's up there going, "I'm a vampire. Listen to my music. I want to drink your blood," Reed expressed. He could be singing about anything, but he's using that metaphor, so, no-brainer. Hart worked closely with the writer's room to nail Lestat's rock and roll sound. "We've done some recording already." Sam Reed as Lestat performing on stage in Interview with the Vampire Season 3. As expected, when coming into this new era of the series, and of Lestat's life, Interview with the Vampire Season 3 required Daniel Hart to find the right sound for his band. The series composer revealed that this was a major collaboration between himself and the writer's room, with the two developing the soundtrack together and spending a good amount of time talking a lot about the book, and Lestat, and rock and roll, trying to find a way to make it work for modern viewers and listeners. "We talked about inspirations like Kurt Cobain, we talked about Otis Redding," Hart shared. Both of them have a vulnerable quality to their songwriting and their performance, a rawness that puts emotion at the forefront. That's what we wanted for Lestat, because that is what we already know to be true of him outside of singing. We wanted to bring that into his performance as a rock star as well. While previous seasons have seen the star contribute his voice to a few songs, Interview with the Vampire Season 3 will see Reed have a bigger part to play with the show's music. In addition to confirming that they've done some recording already for next season's music, Hart also revealed that the team will be performing the songs with Lestat and with his band on camera in a studio in order to prepare for filming. "We've still got some to go, but we did a chunk of songs where Sam came in and sang a bunch of songs in a row," Hart shared. Teasing that there's a particular song that plays a pivotal role in one of the episodes, Hart sang on the demos to give Sam something to work with, but that he and his engineer were blown away when Reed, who had been working with a vocal coach, began singing. The composer praised being thrilled by the choices that he was making, with the star making decisions that he had brought to it himself, and that were part of Lestat and part of Sam's particular vocal style and range. Vampire life is not as easy as Daniel thought it'd be. He's also going to have to face a major returning character. Though Lestat's Rockstar life will be a big part of it, Season 3 will still have plenty of space for its other characters' arcs to continue, particularly Eric Bogosian's Daniel after he was transformed into a vampire in Interview with the Vampire Season 2's ending. The Star teases that the veteran journalist has a new lease on life after being turned, denoting how the premiere saw him hanging around at home and disgruntled about things, while he now really wants to grab the bull by the horns. However, Bogosian teases that, as Daniel heads to Dubai, he will find life as a vampire is trickier than he imagined. He really wants to get into this vampire thing, but it turns out to be, without giving away any storylines or anything, much more challenging than he thought it was going to be, Bogosian shared. And he and Louis got very deep in the interview. It's going to be very different interviewing Lestat. Or trying to, or wanting to, or whatever. He continues to try to interview Lestat, and that's going to be challenging as well. Love that. This is a tightrope of talking and not saying anything. Lestat and Louis won't be the only characters Daniel is reunited with either, as Bogosian confirms Armand and Daniel will be face to face again in Interview with the Vampire Season 3. Careful not to share too much information about this reunion, the Star reveals they've already shot some of their scenes together, which he describes as being pretty intense. He also shared his excitement for two key characters about to be introduced from the books.